Attention! All things shared in this video are simply the opinions of the Unexplained Files. The following footage is not tampered with, and all of the events and reactions are unplanned and genuine.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Unexplained Files, your greatest place for all things unexplained, where we talk about paranormal and far too many other things. Tonight, we have another podcast for you, and unlike others, this one has a very vague topic, and it is, I'm going to get your opinion on the paranormal, Rhys, because I've talked about it a shit ton. Far too much, in fact. You've explained briefly little things, but I want to go through different topics in the paranormal, because I think a lot of people will think about just ghosts or like demons when they think they're paranormal, but there's a lot more to it,
That's
isn't
it, isn't it?
That's the whole thing. Yeah. That's what was in Ghostbusters, so that's it. But like, you think there's UFOs, ufology is huge in the paranormal. Cryptids, stuff like that, that's huge in the paranormal. Various other things we can talk about. So let's start with the first one. Ghosts, spirits, and stuff like that. For me, the mental kind of framework I have and the idea and the ways I think about it, if I had to pinpoint where it comes from, probably comes from being a kid, watching Most Haunted, and listening to people talk about spirit worlds and how this person stood here with us, but all this. And like, how I imagined it at the time was just maybe in an afterlife, wherever that is, somehow, in some way, a person's spirit was stood there. What's it like for you? When you think of like ghost spirits, paranormal, where's your brain?
Originally it was because of Ghostbusters, and I was
Yeah.
thinking if I'll go to a haunted house or something like that, I'll see a floating figure,
Yeah.
no legs, or a giant marshmallow man.
Stay
But
far.
then, like you, when I was probably in early teens, maybe, it was Most Haunted, and then and then it was more okay, it's not as theatrical as you think, and brought me back down to earth a bit. Then and it's just like, okay, it might not see things, might feel things, hear things, but yeah, I still think you go to the right place, you may see things, and I think I've seen something when we were at King Arthur's.
Yeah.
And I saw it at the top of the path. I swear I saw something. And then I was in shock and froze. I looked down like that in panic, looked back up and it was gone. So I do believe at certain periods and certain places you can see things.
Yeah, 100%.
So, but it's a weird one.
So for me, for the longest time, I definitely think the view that I held was like there might just be different like planes of reality, or like some people call it dimensions, some people from like more traditionally would just say it's an afterlife, and it's like it's kind of here but not, and people are like here in an energy form. But ever since going more into the paranormal, I've heard a lot of different things that hold like a lot of weight, that are quite an interesting thought. And I remember one of the theories that has interested me since, I don't know if it's called like the Stonewall theory, but it's this idea that a space can absorb like happenings, like emotions and events, in the same way that if like the sun is shining down on some rocks, even if it goes cloudy and the weather goes cold, they're still going to pump out some heat for a while. It's the idea that like emotions and events can also like be absorbed by a place and leak out. And it's like, I think about that a lot, and I wonder.
They do say that ghosts latch onto something or go to somewhere where they have a connection to.
Yeah. There does seem to be this sense of like, whenever you look across history with spirits or ghosts, or in like pop culture and things, it's always like a ghost is locked to a place.
Because there was one question I wanted to ask my mum's friend, the medium. I was like, what do they see? Do they see the world in
their way?
Or do they see it in our way? Or are they in a complete like weird
difference,
like realm type thing, and they're just linked by like some telepathic.
And like they often say that like stereotypically it's people or spirits of people who've died that have like unfinished business. Could that be like if someone's had a sudden like death?
Well, it's like the story that my mum's friend, the medium again, was saying about the World War One soldier that just turned up in their room at night, and he had a hole through him.
Yeah.
For where obviously like a shell or something's gone right through him, and all he was doing is searching for his mum.
Right.
So she got in contact, because obviously that was years ago. She got in contact and then linked them back together, and then he went then.
Resolved and then carries on. It's so fascinating.
But imagine that, waking up and seeing that.
Yeah.
Like someone in uniform with a hole in them, and he's...
It's like, I often sit and think about where these ideas have come from, because like if I think about my experience, let's take away like Most Haunted and like all of the media that has been put onto me. If I think about what my actual experience is like in so-called haunted places, I've seen what looks like on one occasion I've seen what looks like figures, like vaguely, and that was in Appledore Graveyard the first time I've been there. I've on camera seen shadows and heard groans when going over footage. In the moment I've heard bangs and shuffles and strange things, but none of that really lends itself to having the idea of like, oh, there are people here that have died. But because I grew up with an idea of what the paranormal was, I wonder how much of me is assigning these things to that.
So if you didn't watch those things previously,
would you come to the same conclusion?
What would you think that was?
And it makes me think, like, over the years, there's these tropes about the paranormal, these commonalities, like them being people who have died, or them being lost, or them being trapped in a certain place, and so on. Is there some truth in it purely because these ideas persist? So many generations of people with different cultures, different faiths, different ideas have these common beliefs, and I wonder if it's like somewhere below that there is the right answer of like what's actually going on, and we kind of know it instinctively, but the common themes that are coming up somehow hold the truth. I wonder.
It's hard. This is questions I all want to ask.
Yeah, no, I'd love to be able to speak to her specifically because of the story she shared.
Does she see?
Yeah.
How does she see them?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
It makes you wonder what gives her that ability to be able to communicate with them.
Because they say kids get it a lot.
Yeah, and then they grow up and it kind of like fades out.
Or they channel it because they want to channel it.
Yeah. Well, because I've like an experience when I was very, very young where I had this like, this woman would just like speak. This was like when I was younger than 5. And this, I would every night when I was going to sleep, I would have like this comforting woman's voice that would just ask me if I was okay and if I was feeling alright, if I had a nice day and so on. And then one day it was like my brain just went, wake the fuck up, what is going on? This person's speaking to you and there's no one here, and it freaked me out, and I told it to go away and I was scared and I told it to leave me alone. Never heard it since, never. And I remember like telling my mum about that, and she said that when she was pregnant with me, I think it was her aunt, she wanted to meet me, was like so like happy that my mum was pregnant and wanted to meet me, but she passed away before I was born. So my mum wonders if there might be some connection there that could be to do with it, and I don't know. But I do find it fascinating when you say that like kids channel it if they want that. And so when I was comfortable with it, it was fine and it was there. As soon as I was like, no, go away, be away from me, it's gone. Like never since. And I wonder what about growing up changes. It's like people sometimes take like different substances and hallucinogenic like things, and they claim that they speak to these like spirits or entities, and it makes you wonder.
It's like you see on films and all that.
Yeah.
Like Native Americans.
Yeah.
When they take like some sort of substance, and they try channeling their like spiritual.
Yeah, yeah. Could it be that like when you're a child and your brain's still forming, it's like not quite locked in tightly enough on whatever frequency this is. There's still room to explore and look at different things, and your brain's more open. It's like a lot of people have this theory that your brain's like not creating consciousness, but everything's out there, and your brain's like a receiver picking up the radio frequency. Like, so you're like the radio playing the song, but the song's out here in the signal, and your brain's channeling it. So what if a kid's just not quite locked in enough yet, so there's a bit of static getting in every now and then. And when people take these psychedelic substances, it's scrambling the signal
Well,
so they can
just
see
say
more.
as a kid you're just more absorbent to everything, don't you? Just at that time in your life, you just absorb everything. You're not actually giving out. You're just taking it all in at that
just
point.
Information going in, and you're trying to make sense of it.
So that could be coming from anywhere.
I think as well, when you're a kid, you don't have these like ideas of this is real and this isn't real.
Or good and bad.
Well, yeah, a lot of different things like that. Like, even when you're a kid, you can daydream and be in these fantasy worlds mentally. It's like feels so vivid and real.
My niece, when she's reading a book, she's not, like, she can't read proper paragraphs or sentences yet.
Yeah.
But she's reading a book, flipping the pages, and she's saying out loud anything.
Yeah.
She's making up the story as she's going through it. And it's like in her own mind, she's just coming up with her own story as she's going along. So that's mental.
It is crazy how, like, kids seem to be able to live and exist in their imagination more than adults can. And I wonder if this is like part of it, whether like there's something in that. But it makes me wonder, now that, like, for me personally, going from watching like Most Haunted and stuff like that and hearing a lot of what mediums have said and my views of the paranormal shaping around that, it's definitely changed significantly by going out and like investigating. I don't know, it's not changed entirely, but I'm definitely more grounded in what I think I've experienced. I wonder if that's the same for you. Like, has it changed for you? Like, going from
when I first asked me to come along and do it, I wasn't sure what to expect and what I was going to see. I was obviously had my hopes of what I wanted to see and do. And it's more of a sense of reality now of I'm not sure what I'm going to expect now.
100%.
Like, one weekend or 1 week it could be, maybe a few things on the Spirit Talker or a few shuffles over there. And then the next week it could be bangs, crashes, and we may even see something. You just don't know. I don't know anymore what's going to happen.
Yeah, I went into this like wanting to observe and communicate and like get more answers. I don't feel like I've got more answers. I've just got more questions that are a bit more focused now. But the one thing I have taken from it is, even though experiences aren't as broad and every single time, when they do happen, they're so much more significant, because I recognise, like, it isn't like an episode of Most Haunted where every episode there is something quite dramatic and drastic happening. When it does happen, it is for real happening. You are sat there like...
It's like the K2. That's never gone off. I don't think it's gone off with me before. But
No, it may not have done.
But last week it went off a lot.
Yeah, quite responsively, in my opinion. I think I still get moments when equipment goes off where I'm a bit like, oh shit, that's actually happening right now. Like a moment of like, I see it, I ask a question, ask a cat ball to light up, and it does, and I'm just like, my heart beats a little bit, and I'm just like, oh, okay, here we go.
And it's timings that are funny now. Is like last week when it said on the thing, "Are you ready?" and then the camera went in there.
Yeah.
I don't think I had my hand on the button, and the way I was holding it was underneath it.
Yeah.
And I can't get, and the button's up there, or you turn the nozzle. So holding it like that, I can't actually get my thumb over the top without stretching or moving my hand across.
Right.
So for that to just happen probably a few seconds after it said that on the thing, its timing is impeccable with these situations.
Yeah, that was interesting in that moment. And I think the one significant moment for me, or the thing that stuck with me, is when I said, like, are you trying to keep us safe, or are you trying to warn us? And then it flickers again. And so those ones were quite poignant moments for me. It does make me wonder, and I think I talked about it a bit in that video actually, is it like, are the positive things that are happening here partly because a pub and a bar are usually quite joyful places?
Yeah, I said, that one felt safe.
Yeah, it did. And it's like, it didn't feel like a lot was happening, but it felt like it was like, I didn't feel any threat from it or like concern, and maybe it's just because that was positive emotions. Was that positive emotion soaked into a place, leaking out, or was actually there a spirit there, sentient and aware and actually trying to communicate?
Yeah.
And also, I think one thing I question about the paranormal is like, I'm not fully convinced if there is like this other world that every spirit or being there was like a person who has died. Could it be that it is just a different type of spirit or being that's never been a human? If that makes sense.
I always had the feeling it was ghosts or spirits were just called because they had unhappy deaths. But I've spoken to people who've had experiences, and it's not that. It's, like my Molly, she used to work at a care home. She said she had obviously an old person in the bed, and she'd go in and look after him, knowing that no one else is in that room, and see their partner in the chair next to him.
Yeah.
But she knew no one else, and then she'd leave the room, come back, and then be gone.
Yeah.
So that person couldn't have died unhappy. Could have just been there to support.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case. I think
just as a comforting spirit.
Yeah, I think that what that makes me think of is like ancestors and being connected to someone, and loved ones often tend to be connected, and so you see a lot of that. And I know a lot in a few different like traditional beliefs. There's like other creatures that exist and beings that exist. Like you have across like European folklore and Germanic folklore. There's a lot of like elves and like trolls or fucking like so many like you think
the Cornish believe in fairies, don't they?
Yeah, so. Fairies, the small people, the various names for them, they exist. There are Cornish versions of that. There are Germanic versions. I mean, I don't know if there are specifically Germanic versions of that. It's kind of a bit complicated. But there are Cornish versions. There are Scottish versions. There are like people in different places that aren't connected. Like you have Scandinavian versions of elves or ancestral spirits or small house elves. You have Scottish versions. You have like all over like Europe specifically, there are these same types of creatures, and it makes me wonder what were people experiencing.
Yeah, it's like
to have such similar beliefs.
Even if they're not real, what makes them come up with that?
Yeah.
What have they seen for them to think that?
To have that, yeah. Like you see, there are different types of creatures that come across. Fairies are often a thing. Elves are often a thing. Trolls are often a thing. Dwarves are often a thing. Like in different like old faiths and beliefs and practices, there are these folk type spirits that exist.
Giants.
Yeah, giants are a huge one.
Yeah.
Like, across like especially, and it makes me wonder how is this being experienced and what is it? Because these aren't just people that have passed on. Like some of them are like ancestral spirits. In some cultures, there's like a crossover between elves and ancestral spirits. So maybe that's a thing. But it makes me wonder if people are mediums and they're experiencing people who have passed, are they seeing other things as well? Can they see these different types of creatures, and what does it mean? It's like I find all of that so fascinating. It doesn't get brought up in the paranormal a lot, but it is, I think, part of it in some way.
Yeah, because I know that my mum's friend, she doesn't pick who she sees. They just turn up.
Yeah, and it's just, that's it. That's fascinating. I would love to speak to her at some point to talk about it. Obviously, privacy reasons and stuff, that may or may not be a thing. But it leads me on to another thing as well in the paranormal, which I think is more... People who are into this, so it's a lot more niche than like maybe like spirits and ghosts would be. That's cryptids and like, or like folk creatures and stuff like that. So where we are in the country, and especially like all across the West Country, there's quite a few different like folk stories of different types of creatures. Like some fall into the category, I think like the fucking Exmoor beast and stuff like that. That kind of falls into it, but kind of not, because obviously it was just an actual black cat that escaped or whatever. But there are like in the West Country, there is stories of like hellhounds, so like spirit type dogs with red eyes that come out and attack. There are talks of fairies and things like that, or we've covered a couple of cryptids and stuff in like on the channel. What's your take on it? Have you heard any folk stories, or do you have any theories about what could be, or you just, to you, you're like, you don't think these are a thing?
Oh, like I said, they all come from somewhere. These stories obviously come from someone's experience, or someone's just absolutely off their rocker, and they've just come up with some wild shit.
Yeah.
I personally would believe in it, but I've not delved into cryptic enough
to know, like,
unless we like did a episode where we go somewhere that has some sort of beast or something. Because that'd be a new area for me to investigate.
It was for me as well. So my uncle and I, we've gone to a couple of different ones. The most recent one was that there are theories about wild big cats in the UK being a thing, which, like, on paper there's not, but there's quite a lot of evidence to suggest there could be. So we went to Dartmoor and followed a trail where there were supposed sightings of a big cat. We didn't see anything, but we wanted to explore it and see what it was about. And I think there are some that are fairly tame like that. But then obviously you've got a stereotypical Bigfoot and fucking the Yeti and werewolves and so on and so forth. And I'm a bit like...
But you look at the ancient Greeks and all that with their hydras and
Yeah.
Cthulhu, whatever his name is.
Cthulhu, yeah. Well, it's like... The ones that fascinate me the most are things like dragons. That's just because so many different cultures that are distinct have their own versions of the same things. And it makes me wonder, where is the... where is this coming from? What creatures are being drawn from or like misunderstood to create that idea? Like, why in England is there theories and stories of dragons across mythology? Like, you think of even Arthurian legend and going further back, and there's always dragons and stuff like that.
St. George.
Yeah. And the dragon. Yeah. And fucking, like, there's still, like, fucking legends like Arthurian legend, there's all the dragons and all that shit. And then you can sit there and have that in, like, however far back that was. And then you can hop all the way over to Japan and look at some of their spirits and creatures that they have. And they're serpents that are a bit more, that are slightly different, but it's the same type of creature. And it makes me think, where is this coming from? There are so many creatures like that fascinate me, that make me wonder, where is it?
The fact that we have dragons in that on our coats of arms and stuff like that. So obviously it's from somewhere.
It's come from somewhere. There is a belief in something.
And they had to come up with that image somehow.
Yeah. And it's like, there are creatures that were real, 100%, that we don't see on coat of arms.
They didn't have AI back then to generate
No, exactly. Like, mammoths were real. We don't see mammoths on coats of arms.
No.
We don't see nothing like that. A lot of people say, like, it might be that skeletons have been found and, like, misconstrued, and so people kind of misinterpreted what it could be. That's a possibility. But, like, you think back in, like, when dinosaurs...
Unicorns.
Well, yeah, unicorns, yeah.
That's on coat of arms as well.
Yeah, and to be honest, a horse with a fucking horn, it's not that far-fetched, is it, really? Like, maybe if you start getting into Pegasus territory, I can go, all right, yeah, maybe that's a bit mad. But, like, the one that intrigues me most is dragons. Not saying because I think they're real or not. I have my own personal beliefs, and I want to believe in it. But exactly. The wyvern and all that shit debate. But it's like, if you think of dinosaurs and pterosaurs and stuff, they were giant fucking lizards that could fly about. And we've got crazy creatures now that, like reptiles that spit blood that's acidic, so it's a red burning liquid. Like... When you put all these things together, it kind of makes you wonder, like, is it so far-fetched, and where could it have been, and where's this stuff coming from? And that's, like, a wider thing. And if I consider how plausible it could be for dragons to have been a thing, and then I'll start thinking about, well, what about other things? It opens up the doors, and suddenly, what to me 5 minutes ago seemed ludicrous.
I'm shutting all of these things off and thinking, it can't be real. I'm very open-minded about this. I'm like, I'll happily go with it.
Yeah.
And I'll be very sceptic about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy to see if it is real.
Yeah. I definitely want to talk to people who have either theories or experiences with it themselves and see what their takes are on it and share that, because it is quite so there are some things that I'm very like automatically I want to go fuck off, but I try to like have to keep an open mind because I feel like it's just a good way to be. But then there are Bigfoot, for example, like at first, when I first started like learning about it or hearing people's accounts of it, I was kind of just like, yeah, sure. But now, even though I'm still hesitant,
it's very likely though. Bigfoot. Yeah, like I can imagine that
a big primate, like it wouldn't be that surprising. But it
not even that could have been something from very, very long time ago. So you still get these tribes that are still in the middle of the jungles, and they have no idea about the outside world.
Yeah, 100%.
That could have just happened with a...
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was this type of chimp that was found, like chimpanzees that were the size of like men, and they didn't think they were real, and then they found them in like the 60s. So like, obviously you think chimps are like what, that sort of size, but these are like 6 foot chimps. It's terrifying. And like, there's this, I don't know, it could be a hoax, I don't know, and my information could be messed up, but there's this picture of 2 like tribal people that have killed one of them, and they're like, there's 2 of them holding this big chimp, like with arms over their shoulders, and these guys must have been like 5'5" at shortest, and this is a chimp like this size, and you see that and you're like, what is in this world? And I think so often because we think we've explored everything and we know everything, we just automatically go, that can't be a thing, like obviously, but it makes me wonder what's out there.
But it's like, we ain't even touched the surface of under the sea.
No,
like we have no idea what's under there.
We really don't. I think we get ourselves caught in a trap of thinking we know more than we do, and being so certain of things. But oftentimes you can record evidence of something, or you can record metrics of things and not entirely understand what's going on with it and how it
big
exists.
old universe around.
Yeah.
No way we.
No. What about other things?
It's like we know about a grain of salt in a pack of it.
Yeah.
Not even that.
No.
We're like a grain of salt in the ocean.
Yeah.
That's how much we know.
It's kind of mind-blowing, and we'll never know, which is but makes it 10 times more fascinating. But I want to have so many more experiences, and obviously, yeah, like another thing in like the paranormal that's a more niche part of it, but still exists, is like UFOs, ufology, aliens, and stuff like that. Whether they are a thing or not, or I think the bigger debate is if they are real. Have they been here? Are they here? What part to play do they have?
I saw a video on an astronaut, and he, some interviewer said to him, "Do you believe in aliens?" And he goes, "Yes." And they went, "What? So there's people like extraterrestrial people?" And he goes, "We're aliens. In my belief, we weren't the first people here.
Yeah.
We came here."
There's this seeded like theory where like apparently we were brought here and put here, and there's a lot of different.
Because there's a lot of things on this earth that are unexplained, and things that have been here before we've been here.
Yeah.
And structures that we can't explain.
Yeah.
And he goes, "That's enough evidence for me to be like, we were second here."
Yeah. I'd love to do a series focused on like different theories and reacting to different ideas about like specifically like alien life, or like what has existed on Earth before we did, or if there was, or if we come from here, and like, because there are a lot of different theories out there about where we come from, and if we were put here as like an experiment, or if we're just like a zoo for creatures.
I play games like Assassin's Creed, and you got like the ancients.
Yeah, the Order of Ancients and all that stuff, and the Isu people. Maybe we could never write a story that good, and we didn't write it. We're just retelling it somewhere. It weaves too well.
But I find that so fascinating when you're just going into these old places, like mental structures. But you do get places like that.
Oh yeah, there's no like there. What fascinates me is when you've got ancient cultures that, like you said, have similarities, like giants, like giant people. Like there are biblical giant people. Yeah, there are. In every faith, there are giant people. Maybe it wasn't that they were people. And it's like in the Bible, doesn't it say that we were made in God's image? So what does that mean? We were made in something's image. A bit like the Assassin's Creed, the EC people, we were made in their image and things taken away. But no, like I think it would be cool to do a series to really dive into like theories of people and aliens, because we've done a lot of reaction to paranormal. We've done quite a bit of cryptids, but aliens and that side of things are something that I've not extensively looked into.
So I'd love to believe this. I don't like the idea that in the whole universe we're the only thing.
Yeah.
I find that so hard to believe.
Yeah.
By pure chance we're the only thing. No, there's got to be someone else out there.
It doesn't, even to my mind, it doesn't really make sense that we're just an isolated case.
Even in our galaxy, I find it hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what a weird anomaly to have a cold, dead nothing, and then like just consciousness and awareness and life. Yeah, on the pale blue dot, just all of like like an entire universe. If people aren't here and we're not experiencing it, and nothing's experiencing it, is it really here at all? So for life to be here, for us to be sentient and aware, what the fuck? That doesn't make sense. I think we're going to have to do that. That might be a new series. Investigating the unexplained of UFOs and aliens and all that. Might be something to add. There we go. We've been yammering on a bit. How long? We've been on half an hour. We've been talking about our theories on the paranormal and specifically your views on it. It's just such a fascinating topic.
It is endless.
It really is. And the funny thing is we can explore it for the rest of our life. We'll never know. But I kind of like that.
Spaceship, then.
Yeah. Keep it going from the other side. That'll do. But there we go, folks. That has been exploring the paranormal. That has been Rhys's perspectives on the paranormal and your views on it. Yeah, that's a podcast. It's what we do. We get lost and everything becomes way more unclear. But we hope you enjoyed this conversation about the paranormal, about ghosts, about the spirit world, about cryptids, about aliens and UFOs. And if you have any perspectives and viewpoints on that, feel free to leave that in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you see about these things. If you would like to see a series focusing on UFOs, aliens, any theories in that vein of things, feel free to tell us about what you would like to see, because this is a new area for us and we've not looked into it, so I'd love to add that to the channel, and if you guys know more, feel free to add that for us. If you enjoyed this evening's video and you would like to check out some of the rest of our podcasts, I will stick an iCard up there, or there will be iCards throughout the video with our different playlists. This playlist is the podcast playlist where we sit and ramble and talk about any number of things about the unexplained. We have our ghost hunting playlist where we go out and experience the paranormal for ourselves, or the lack thereof in some cases. We have our case files playlist where we talk about specific events to do with the paranormal, perhaps the Enfield hauntings, which different films have been based on, or various other cases of well-known unexplained happenings. If you would like to learn more about that, feel free to hit the iCard. And our final playlist so far is our reactions playlist, where we take a look at the best, funniest, worst and all manner of paranormal things from online and judge it harshly and accordingly. If you want to check out that, iCards and the rest. We thank you for watching this evening's video. We hope you have a lovely rest of your evening, and we hope to catch you again in the next one. Goodbye.
Get silent.